Well, welcome to Bourbon Writers and the second episode of the FrankenBlend Challenge. You might know that, what's going on behind you, Mike? Well, we are renovating the studio. We're not quite done yet, but we got a good deal of our bourbons, not all of them. I'd say probably about half of what I currently have on the shelf. I just can't put it all on behind me, but we've got a nice collection. We wanted to show it off, and this is our working shelf. This is what we do the show from. So tonight, it's all about a new FrankenBlend challenge, and we told you on the last show that the base bourbon for this show was going to be the Elijah Craig. This is the Elijah Craig Small Batch. Yeah, it's in the mini bottle, I know. Joke away. But and we asked our viewers to put in ideas for the other two bourbons, and if they could, let us know what volume, what percentages, what milliliters that we were going to put with it. And I've been talking back and forth to one of my viewers that had a good suggestion, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right. Lou Dave 2387. We'll put it on the bottom of the screen. You can see now that the chats are open to everybody. And we've been going back and forth because originally he asked for a bourbon I didn't have. I suggested a couple alternatives. He liked one of them. So tonight, we'll just call him Lou. This is Lou's batch, batch number 2. So we start off with 50 milliliters of the Elijah Craig small batch, which is in the large beaker. And I'm going to tell you what the small beaker is before we get to the big beaker, because Lou was pretty cool about one of my suggestions. So the small beaker is one of Lou's original suggestions, and that was the Henry McKenna 10-year. Now this is a Heaven Hill product, just like the Elijah Craig, and I think Lou was going on kind of a Heaven Hill thing. And I really didn't have another Heaven Hill that would kick it up a notch. So we talked a couple times back and forth, and I had a suggestion for him, a couple suggestions, and he liked one of them. So for the other portion of the FrankenBlend, we've got 30 milliliters of, this is a good one, 1792 Foolproof. Now, if that won't kick it up a notch, nothing will, because the Foolproof is 125 proof, McKenna's 100 proof, and of course Elijah Craig, I believe, is 94. It will definitely have some kick to it, as well as some interesting flavors. So, let's get to that. We're going to pour Lou's McKenna in first. Stir that up a little bit. And now for the nitro, the 1792 Foolproof. I could like hold back here. Don't want to spark anything. I can't wait to smell this. I like the 1792 Foolproof. We've got a first pour video coming up on it, and just we have so many first pours out ahead of something like this that goes faster into the schedule. So the 1792 Foolproof is definitely, you'll see in the near future. So kind of like we do with the bottle, let's give it a little sniff. Oh my God. Woo! That's got some potent. And it smells delicious too. But that's got some strong aroma to it. I don't know if it's the McKenna coming off, probably the Foolproof. And a lot of sweetness too. And you know, the McKenna's fairly sweet, and I thought the Foolproof was definitely sweeter than the small batch or the single barrel. But that smells pretty good. We're going to stir it up a little more. And I want to thank Lou Lou, Louidaiv 2387. Lou, if that's part of your name, thank you for the suggestions. And keep the suggestions coming in, because this is show 2 and we've got 6 shows to do. So the next show is going to be the base bourbon will be the Larceny Small Batch, which is a wheated bourbon. So yeah, there's a lot of things we can do with that. So let's pour about 1.5 ounces, because the rest of it is going to go in this guy. Show you how we do it. So there is Lou's batch number 2. The rest of it just couldn't go in my glass. So I got the feeling that Lou might beat me at my own game. You know, I had a pretty good batch of that batch number 1 with the 1792 small batch. 1792s come in twice in 2 shows. The 1792 small batch, the Russell's Reserve, and the Old Ezra. And that was a kicker blend. I mean, it really was. That Old Ezra really cranked it up. And then the Russell's provided the spice and really gave the 1792 small batch, which I think is pretty plain vanilla. Sorry, 1792 lovers. It's a good bourbon. It's just not a whole lot to it. Well, let me tell you, batch number 1 is a whole lot to it. Let's see what this smells like. Well, let's look at the color first. See if we can get some legs going there. See how good a mad scientist Lou is. Well, Lou, we got some small legs going there, a nice film. You may be onto something. Let's smell it again. Oh, that is just sweet. I think it's actually smells sweeter than my batch. It's definitely got that candy cane, maple syrup, sweetness going on. So, here's to you, Lou. Cheers. Wow, that has got a lot of punch to it. I mean, a lot of flavor. It's not, the sweetness doesn't quite transcend into the palate as much as I thought it would. It's not quite as sweet as batch number 1, but wow, the complexity, the fruit, the Kentucky hug. I mean, it's all marvelous. It's good. It's good. Wow, let me take another taste, see if I can break it down a little for you. You get a little bit of spice on the tip of the tongue, but more spice that coats the palate. And it's a nice baking spice. I mean, nutmeg, cloves, stuff you have at Thanksgiving. I mean, you get that just swirls around in your mouth with a little bit of sweetness. Not near as sweet as batch 1 was. But, you know, some people won't like it as sweet. My batch was pretty sweet with that Old Ezra. This reminds me a lot of the, I think I got it on the shelf over here somewhere. Somewhere I've got it, yeah. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. This reminds me a lot of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, because you got 50% Elijah Craig in it. And then you've got something that kicks it up a little bit with the proof and the sweetness. And then you add a little complexity of the McKenna to it, which also has a little bit of sweetness. It's good. I'm concerned that this might beat my batch. Lou, what have you done? Let's take one more sip and we'll go to final thoughts. This has definitely got a lot more spice going on it. Baking spices, rye spice. This is probably a lot more traditional in the flavors that most people like from bourbon. It's certainly sweet enough. It's certainly proofy enough. I would tell you that it would be something that I would buy if it came in a bottle. It's good. Lou, you did a great job. So, wow. Let's hand it to Lou for batch number 2. Oh, that rhymed, didn't it? I didn't plan that. So, next week, like I said, it's Larceny Small Batch. Must be at least 50% or 50 milliliters. We always go for 100 total in our little science experiment. And the other 2 bourbons can be of anything that is in my staple. And you kind of can look behind me, so that kind of helps you out a little bit. If you want to pick something off this shelf, I do have about 25% more that's not on the shelf. But always ask me, and I'll tell you, and I'll let you know in the comments if we're going to use your batch or your recipe. So keep those recipes coming. I would like a couple more ideas for the next week's Larceny Small Batch. And if you want to comment on the Evan Williams or the Benchmark Bonded or the Four Roses 80 proof, you can comment on those as well. Keep them coming. We'll take what we think is the best suggestion out of something that we have and put it together on the show to bring you the latest FrankenBlend challenge. As always, please drink responsibly, never drink and drive, and don't be afraid to blend some bourbons together. See you next time. Oh my God. Woo!